you are still God. You are still God.
35 minutes past the hour. Kevin Derryberry brings us back.
When my heart starts to pray.
Dear friend of the program and dear friend of our next guest. Bubba and I both were honored last year. There was a movement that took place. A lot of you might remember this. Near where we currently live there in Alabama, called The Awakening. There were a couple of these events, and they were really a great outpouring of the Holy Spirit. I know neither one of us will forget being there and being part of both those events. And we were actually able to meet a remarkable young man, Carson Sumpter, during that process. He gave his testimony at one of the Awakening events, and very talented singer-songwriter, musician, and he was at the time in a raging battle with cancer. And the testimony of his life has continued to live on. 1 year ago today, he stepped into eternity where the ultimate healing took place, and now awaits those of us who are still here to join him and others that we love that are already there waiting on us, and to kind of talk about some of the things that went on in his life and continue to go on. His dad has joined us, Jim, today. His wife also here today watching, and his daughters Maddie and Cassidy. Jim, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Thank you, Rick. I'm doing well.
Well, and I know we all wish we were meeting on this day for different reasons, but following your emails back and forth and watching from afar, since I do live in Bubba and I both live in the near the community where all this has taken place. We've watched as the legacy continues of your son's life, and you know, Bubba and I both know what it's like to, have people step into eternity before you that you wish they didn't. And one of the things that brings the most healing is to watch it matter and watch it have impact on people, on people's eternity. And I know that's what we're here today to kind of talk about.
Absolutely.
So let's begin. What are some of the things that are going on? I know that one thing we're going to do today that's going to be really cool. I mean, your son is an incredible singer, songwriter, musician, and of course, the musicians and singers he's getting to perform with and sing with and worship God with now, none of us could even comprehend. But I know that we have a song that he wrote right after he was diagnosed and knew the journey that he had been given. We'll play that. It was recorded in Dallas. He played all the instruments on the song, but I know he had worked some with Taylor Hicks and with Kevin Derryberry that we just played. He had quite a musical career going.
It's amazing to watch. I was a musician growing up. His mom was a musician. Carson was so far ahead of anything we could ever have imagined to be. It was interesting at a young age. I guess 4 or 5 years old, he kind of picked up the drumsticks, played around on the pots and pans like a lot of kids do, but he actually had rhythm and made sense. And so being a drummer, I sort of started teaching him, rhythm. His mom started teaching him how to read music at a young age, and he really started getting a passion for it. And so he started taking some lessons. He was in bands in high school. He did I like to tell the story. He did his first live performance was a talent show in 4th grade where he played Wipeout on the drum.
Oh, wow.
And I was speaking with a friend of mine the other night. We actually saw each other at a local mall, and she said, I have a picture of that I'm going to send you.
Oh,
and I said, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And so he started doing that. He went on. He moved into high school and started playing drums. He was section leader at the local high school band that he was a member of. And then he started writing music. What's interesting about writing music, which I am not a writer by any means, he started reading a lot of poetry and reading a lot. And a good friend of ours who is a talented musician in Nashville started talking to him and coaching him a little bit and said, you need to read. You need to read a lot. Well, that was not one of his first passions, was reading. It wasn't mine either. But he started doing that, and he started writing, and he started writing from the heart. And writing about, I guess like most writers do, he started writing about things that were important to him. And so the song we'll hear in a few minutes was written after diagnosed with cancer. He actually recorded his first CD prior to cancer. And he did that with with a lot of help, and then he actually went to Kevin in Kevin's studio and had it, I guess, produced, and they talked about it, and he, just had some amazing opportunities at 15, 16, 17 years old. You mentioned Taylor Hicks. Taylor called him. This was after he was diagnosed with cancer. Taylor had heard his CD, and said, as only Taylor can do, hey man, I'm doing a gig at Workplay for Toys for Tots. I'd like for you to open for me. Well, when his mouth got off the floor, and he composed himself again, he said, yeah, I'd love to. And they started an amazing journey together, where Taylor was really kind of coaching him in a lot of things, and they did. They played a concert at Workplay. They played Superstition together. It was, I like to tell this, tell that the stage loved him and he loved the stage. And that was an amazing night. He played drums at our local church, actually, where Kevin is worship leader. Played with Kevin in some different things, and so he played guitar and drums and keyboards a little bit, and wrote, and just an amazing musician. But that wasn't all he was. He left quite a legacy on our community, and it's amazing to me the number of teenagers that still to this day say, "Mr. Jim, you would not believe what I learned from your son," and that's a really cool thing.
Well, the song we have here, it's called From Golden to Gray, and it was recorded in Dallas, and he plays all the instruments that are on the song. And, being a dad who, unfortunately, we share something in common that we wish that we didn't, I know how important these markers can be, and I know how painful they can be, but also know how powerful they can be. And so to let you, maybe some of you that never got a chance to hear Carson Sumpter and the talent that God gave him, that he is now playing before the person who gave him the talent. This is the song. It's an original from Carson James Sumpter, and it's called From Golden to Gray, and it will make its debut right now on the Rick and Bubba Show. Here it is.
I wake up to a sunny sky, not a glimpse of one cloud in my eye. Seems like everything is right. Then the wind blows and the air gets cold. Suddenly the sunlight turns from golden to gray. I'm left standing in the rain, and it's sad to me that it has to be this way. Another Saturday night on your couch, holding you, watching movies at your house. What a perfect night it's been, like a mockingbird on a backyard fence. Nothing seems as peaceful as this moment that we're in. I wanna rewind it again, but the alarm beeps, and then the phone rings, and it's sad to me that it has to be this way. But it's only for a while. Don't ever lose that smile you had the time that I kissed you in the drive. Yeah, it's only for now. Don't ever come around to think you aren't strong enough to handle what you're thinking of. It's only for a while. Don't ever lose that smile you had the time when you kissed me in the drive. It's only for now. Don't ever come around to think that you aren't strong enough, that you aren't strong enough now. It's only for a while. Don't ever lose that smile you had the time that I kissed you in the drive. And yes, it's only for now. Don't ever come around to think that you aren't strong enough to handle what you're thinking of.
There it is, Carson Sumpter, and from Golden to Gray. Wow. If you'd like to find out more about Carson's music, we've got all the links there at rickandbubba.com today. There's some other organizations that continue to be part of the legacy. We'll talk with his dad when we come back. So check all the information at rickandbubba.com. All the links are there. The hour you've heard the music today, some of the music of Carson Sumpter, who stepped into eternity 1 year ago today. His dad, Jim, with us, the legacy of his life. You've heard us talk about it back when the awakening events were going on, and now since then, and it will continue. And I know Jim wanted an opportunity on one of these markers to honor his son today. We want to make sure that we could play a small role in that. But I know that we've talked about the music. We put the links on the website. His music continues to speak to people and will continue to do so. But you said you also wanted to talk about some of the things that because of the disease that he battled, you also met some pretty incredible people that you wanted to make sure that on this day that they get honored as well.
Absolutely, Rick, and thank you again all for the opportunity to do this. It's, as you go through something like this as a parent, and I know you've been through this, and I've actually watched you go through this, and I think it's helped me as a parent go through it. And there's a couple of things that I've learned. Number one is that people grieve differently.
No question.
There's not a right way. There's not a wrong way. It's people grieve differently. And what I've chosen to do and our family's chosen to do is to really try to get involved with some organizations that were very near and dear to us. Children's Hospital in Birmingham, and I know there's a lot of children's hospitals throughout the country, but Children's in Birmingham, it was quite amazing to watch what they did with from the very first day we were diagnosed, and then we actually went out and did some treatments at MD Anderson in Houston. So we had some different facilities involved, and when Carson first passed, as I'm going through the first couple of weeks, and you sort of get mad. And you think, well, wow, why didn't they fix him? And then you realize, wow, it really wasn't up to them; it was up to God.
Right.
And so as I've gone through, I've also thought about, because Carson lived a little over 11 months from the day he was first diagnosed. As I was going back and reading stories just throughout this past year, I've seen so many times where someone was diagnosed with a cancer or an illness or something, and then they passed away shortly thereafter. Other people go into remission and they, live X number of years and then it comes back. Or other people, they go, they're cured, and then you move on. And one of the things that I have felt like that would be good for us to do is to go and to become involved in the different organizations. So Children's Hospital, I was speaking with one of the representatives yesterday, and they sent me some statistics that there's at Children's in Alabama, there's 130 new diagnoses every year. More than 90% of those are diagnosed in Alabama and are treated at Children's Hospital. There's 13,000 outpatient visits to Clinic 8, which is the oncology clinic, and 25% of those are treated get a blood transfusion of some sort. So one thing that I'm going to do over the next several years is to really become more involved with them more and more. And then there was Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish was an organization that I had heard of, but never done anything with or been involved with in any personal form. And our social worker came to us shortly after Carson was diagnosed and said, here's how it works. And basically they grant wishes to children with life-threatening medical conditions in whatever they want, and Carson, of course, being a musician, his first thought was, well, I want to go meet somebody.
Right.
And so we tried a couple, and his wish actually was going to be fulfilled. He was going to meet the band Sugarland and go down to a concert and become involved with them in that day and basically play with them that afternoon, go to the concert that night. And it was going to be a great day. And a couple of things came up, and Carson just decided that he would postpone his wish until he got a little bit better, and then he might change it a little bit. But, working with the organization, it's an amazing thing. A lot of kids go to Disney World, and some kids go, meet an artist or whatever. And it's just something that's been near and dear to us, we're becoming involved in. And then, Kevin Derryberry, everything that he meant to our family and what he's done, he's got a great ministry, and so we want to be able to do more with him. So what we've chosen to do, in summary, is we've taken what a lot of people would deem a negative situation and try to turn it into a positive. And, Carson left a legacy, and I think while we're here on this earth, it's our job to continue and to try to tell people about that legacy.
I've had a chance to counsel so many parents over the last 4 years, which is unfortunate, but it's true. And, one of the things, and you're doing it, that I try to always let them know, because I think the spiritual part of it, some people it's instant, some people it takes time for them to see it because it's, you're going through so many different emotions and pain. But one thing that never fails to get their attention right out of the gate is saying, what would your child think if they're in eternity, and Revelation tells us they are aware of what we're doing, and they see that them stepping into eternity has destroyed you and destroyed your family and destroyed your marriage or destroyed whatever. And I said, is that the legacy you want your child to have? And usually, and then we get on to the eternal ramifications. Ultimately, it's to glorify God. But, God gives us these children, and they're dear to us, even though they ultimately belong to Him, and He's a perfect Father, and we're not. But that always gets their attention, and you get it, is, what about the fact of, don't you want your child's legacy, and of course you want to glorify God, but also your child's legacy to be something that makes your family stronger, wakes up and you do things you never would have done. My family and I, we do things we would have never done if it had not been for God causing, not just allowing, but causing, because we don't think He causes it, then we don't think He can stop it. You know what I mean? For us to have such a powerful wake-up call, and it is a great legacy for our son, but it's also has changed our family for the better. Not for the worse, but for the better. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but there's sometimes I think to myself, you know what? I'm thankful for it. But because I'm more in tune to the life He wants me to live than I ever was before.
And I think that's I think that's part of this whole point. I know we're going to have probably 40, 50 people to our home this afternoon. One of the things that I wanted to do is to make today that could be a very sad day.
Sure.
It's it's an anniversary.
Some years it will be.
I'm sure it will. We're trying to make it a not as sad day and just try to all be together and love
Absolutely.
on Carson, and that's exactly what he would want.
No question.
That's exactly
and
what
that's
he would
not
want.
just something you say to feel better. It's something that's true.
That's right.
What an honor, Jim. Thanks for letting us be part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you leave us right now, have a great day. If you've got more Rick and Bubba, Lord willing, we'll be back after the top of the hour. Whatever the case may be, we'll talk to you on the next show, next or tomorrow.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.